Hey everyone, my name is Wolf and this is the Noob-Splaining channel. Now normally I put out lore videos directed at people who are totally new to 40k in an attempt to get them into the game, but this video is based at current players as well. So before I explain why all you experienced players are wrong and that the meta list should be ignored, if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Hit it? Good. Now I'm going to say something controversial. But before I do that and you'll rage quit out of my video, I'm also going to explain how you can fix what I said. Right, here we go. If you believe that according to these stats on screen that the Aeldari are OP compared to the army you play, and you're experiencing the same average win-loss rate for your army that is on these stats, I have some bad news for you. It's not the Aeldari are OP, it's because, quite frankly, your army list is shit. Now, before you rage quit, so were mine until I realised this. So settle in and prepare for a Noob-Splaining session. So just recently, there has been a lot of outcry about how OP the Aeldari are and the fact that they need to be nerfed. So on screen you should see the current faction win rates. As you can see at the top of the list, the Aeldari have a massive 67% win rate, and the leagues of vote on are sat at the bottom at a measly 35%. So people who are planning to get into the game or just starting to dabble, I will tell you this right now. This list is utter crap. Ignore everything that's on it. Those of you who are playing right now, answer me this question. Did you buy a totally new army for 10th, or did you do what we have done every time a new edition comes out and just apply 10th edition points to what models you have? If you did, that's where you went wrong. If you're trying to play a 9th or early edition army in 10th, well, what does that matter, here you say? Well, frankly, everything. You see, every edition from 2nd to 9th made you spend at least 25% of your points on the normal troops for your army. Then with your commander and a few other characters, it's fair to say you have 35% of your points gone. This leaves you with 65% to spend on elites, fast attack and heavy support units as we knew them at the time, but only at a maximum of 25% on each of the classes. This results in a nice well-rounded army with basic troops and a limited amount of the good stuff that is classed as elite, fast attack or heavy support. Space Marines, for example, you take a Land Raider and a squad of Devastators, that was your heavy support budget spent, so the Dreadnought is staying home. Look at the meta list again. One of the toughest armies are the Space Marines, yet look at their win rates. Only the Death Watch are above 50%. The World Eaters and Blood Angels should be way further up that list. The Blood Angels are so low down on that list because they're still using a 9th or 8th or possibly an even earlier version of their army lists. That list still has those restrictions of the older editions that don't exist anymore in 10th. For example, a Space Marine army can drop Rabute Guilliman on the table with 40 Terminators and have 5 points left over. The Imperial Guard can deploy a Commissar, 2 Baneblades and 2 Shadow Swords. That's right, 1 character and 4 super heavy tanks, arguably the 2 best tanks in the game. After the Land Raider of course, because Land Raiders are fucking cool. None of those lists I just mentioned are even remotely close to being legal in any of the previous versions. Now before anyone says what about the Dark Angels Deathwing rules, tell me how you get Rabute Guilliman in a Deathwing army list. Talk about Deathwing in 10th. They can arguably put 150 Terminators on the table. So it's not the Aeldari that are OP, it's your old 9th edition or earlier army that is out of date and is still restricted from the lack of elites or heavy support because you're using your old list. The new armies for 10th don't have to have any basic troops or any ideas of the old balance. So get the idea of your Dreadnought has to stay at home if you take a Devastator squad and a Land Raider squad. You can now take 3 Devastator squads, 3 Land Raiders and 3 Dreadnoughts. What about Battle Line, I hear you say? Well, that is only in there so players like Orcs or Imperial Guard don't find that suddenly half their army has to stay on the shelf, as they can only field 3 of any one type of squad. But when 6 squads of Orc boys are constantly getting chewed up, you're going to revisit your list and replace a few squads with something tougher. You know, something that used to be classed as elite, fast attack or heavy support, that we now have pretty much no limits on. You can build an army entirely of elites or heavy support with 0 basic troops. So why are the Aeldari at the top? Simple. Aeldari always were a specialist army. You picked your troops based on what army you were facing. You don't bring Dark Reapers when you're facing hordes of Orcs or Guards, but you field as many Dark Reapers as you can against Marines. Now all armies have this same premise behind them, and you all need to start thinking like Aeldari players. The Aeldari are doing best because they've been in this train of thought for so many years now, to the point that we saw troops we had to take as a waste of points on our list. It was like, right, There's your 500 points of Guardians of Dire Avengers. Now let's get to the proper units. So pick your units to counter the enemy, not pick the most powerful yet balanced army you can. When building an army in 10th, you want to go for the most OP, dirty, broken army under the old rules you can think of. Make several lists if you have to deal with different types of army, from lightly armoured hordes to heavily armoured elite troops like Custodes. But bear in mind, the lightly armoured hordes like Imperial Guard are not likely to stay as lightly armoured hordes for long. The reason the leagues are at the bottom is they have fuck all troops to choose from. The next two after that for lack of troops to choose is Drukhari and Sisters of Battle, and funny enough, they are down the list as well, for the time being. Now let's look at Games Workshop's pricing model. The basic infantry for any army would be around say £35 for a box of Marines. To fill the old 25% minimum points, you would probably need 3 boxes of these Marines, and each box has 10 Marines in it, unless you were playing Orcs, in which case you probably need close to 6 boxes. Next you get to buy some elites, so let's say a Terminator squad for Marines or Knobs and Mega Armour for the Orcs. The price of one of these elite squads is about £45, and you only get 5 models, so half the raw materials and an extra £10 in cost. This was to reflect that you would only be buying 1 or 2 of these elite squads at the most instead of the 3 to 6 core units you need. We don't need to take core units anymore, and as I've already demonstrated, a Space Marine army can put 40 Terminators on the table and a Primarch within 2,000 points. 10th edition was designed around all armies all getting this stupidly OP. The Eldar just happened to figure it out first. That's how I realised Games Workshop have also screwed us. If I was collecting an Eldar army list fresh from 10th, I would not be buying any of the core troops. In fact, pretty much all of the armies I would not be buying any core troops. This means players new to 40k as of 10th can get a stupidly powerful army for less money than us who already have them, because the new players won't be wasting money on the 25% core troops we don't need anymore. We have already spent that money now, but now we're going to have to swap them out for the good stuff. So Games Workshop have just screwed us all into buying the overpowered and overpriced troops. Not that it's going to stop me from buying them, I just thought you should all know we're all getting screwed and didn't realise. As for you new players, think yourselves lucky you're not going to have to spend a bucket load of money on troops you're never going to use again. And there we have it. That brings us to the end of this video. If you laughed or learnt anything, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you are already subscribed, then don't forget to share this video with somebody who could do with some noob-splaining in their life. Also, leave a comment on your favourite part. I do try and interact with every comment. But if you made it this far, thank you, and I'll see you next time.